Hello, Christopher Nicholson.
Hello.
My name is Naseeim Bangura.
Hello, Naseeim.
Okay, so could you tell us a bit more about the work that you do, please?
Well, I'm a film director. I've been a film director for 22 years, and I've come here today to talk to you guys who are media students about what it's like being a film director in the real world.
Okay, so when did you first realise that this was the career you wanted to pursue?
I've always been around cameras, as long as I can remember. I said it before, I built my first camera when I was 7. I wound up selling a photograph when I was 10. And it just sort of happened that I knew from like the first time I ever thought about any kind of doing anything for a living that it would somehow involve film and cameras. And I just grew into this.
Brilliant, okay. So what was your first job or work experience and how did you manage to get it?
Well, I couldn't. When I left university, I did a weird degree in the science of how we see what we see and what we hear and how we hear what we hear.
Was that the actual quote?
Yeah, it's a weird degree.
Wow.
And I'd also been running a recording studio and things, and I had quite a good understanding of how music was recorded. And I thought, I'd just wander into a recording studio and get a job. No. I couldn't get a job in any studio anywhere. And I couldn't get any work anywhere. So when I was 21, I did look 16. So I pretended I was 16, and I went around the same studios, and I got a job as a T-boy, pretending to be 16. And I lasted as a T-boy for 2 weeks until I accidentally gave somebody a cup of tea with a great deal of laxative in it. And this gentleman was a recording engineer, and it was a night shift, and he then went home, and I took over. And when the studio manager came to work the next morning, he saw me sitting behind the desk, and he completely freaked because he thought, what's the T-boy doing of the paying client? Whereupon I took him outside and I said, actually, this is my degree, and I've got this qualification and that qualification, and fire me now or ask the client if he was happy. And as luck would have it, the client was happy. And I stopped being a T-boy. So I was a T-boy for 2 weeks.
Gosh. Okay. Okay. So what was the most enjoyable project that you've taken so far, really?
But to be honest, I enjoy them all. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother doing it. Probably the most one of the most cool paid projects I did, the proper paid project, I did a British Airways commercial, which was great fun. Playing with planes is pretty cool. And that was great. And that put me on the map. That was a cinema commercial.
Oh, right.
And that put me on the map, which was very useful. And then after I stopped making commercials, I moved into feature films. I've done 4 films now, or is it 5? And I'm about to do my next one. And every project I do, I consider to be the best thing I'm doing at the time. It's weird. I never look back and think, oh, that was better than this one. No, because every one I do is fun.
Okay. So what would you say was the most challenging projects?
I did a project with the Prince's Trust, which was a bunch of kids from the Prince's Trust, 20 of them, along with a bunch of my friends who work in the industry. And together we did a film from script to screen. That was unbelievably challenging, because not only were we making a low-budget feature film, we were also dealing with people who we were giving very responsible jobs to. But the Prince's Trust is just truly wonderful, and it helps all sorts of people in all sorts of distress. But sometimes these people are in distress for a reason, and we didn't want anybody to fall through. We didn't want anybody to fail. And so it was very challenging because I had to start becoming quasi-uncle and social worker as well as a bloody film director. So that was really hard. Okay. But we got it done.
Cool.
And people started careers.
That's good. So who was your idol growing up and why?
I didn't really have one. I admire people's work, but I would never call them idols. I'm not that kind of person. I look at people's work and I think, wow, that's amazing. People like Orson Welles and Scorsese and Coppola and actors that we can all comment. And I look at their work and I think, God, that's really fantastic what they do. But an idol is somebody who you kind of worship, and instead I learned from them. So really they were more mentors than idols. Well, I've never met any of them. Actually, I have met Scorsese once, but that was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. So I'm sure there are many people looking up to you right now. If they came to you asking for advice on film and TV industry, what would it be, would you say?
Okay, well, I would say, first of all, find your own voice. I've been saying this all day. Don't give us another clone of a Tarantino or a Scorsese or a Noel Clarke or something. Be original. Find your own voice. And the second thing I'd do is encourage you to understand how to cope with rejection. People will say no to you often, and when they say no, don't spiral inwards and think, oh God, I'm rubbish. Instead, understand why they said no, and treat that as, okay, what is it about my presentation, what is it about my project, what is it about what I was saying that made them say no. Remove that from your presentation, your project, or what you were saying, and then next time they can't say no for that reason, and eventually they'll run out of no's. And then the next thing you'll hear will be a maybe, and then the maybes you turn into yeses. So those are the two lessons I'd probably bang on most about.
Okay, thank you. Okay, being brutally honest, if you were to do everything again, what would your chosen career be, and why?
I don't think I could do anything else. Otherwise, I probably would have done, because there are other easier ways of making a living than this. But honestly, I make the decisions I make instinctually, and the instincts haven't changed. So, to be honest, I probably would still be sitting here right now, even if I had hindsight, which obviously we don't have.
Okay. And do you have any upcoming projects in the future?
I have something I can't tell you about, but it's quite exciting. And it will be the biggest independent British feature film there's yet been. And we're hoping I'm shooting it next spring, next summer. It's quite a big shoot, and I should deliver it 2014.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.